In a time where new gangster movies are a rarity, and when they do come out, they tend to be not very good, we've got some news about an upcoming Mafia film that sounds weird. The likes of Deadline and Variety have reported that Nicolas Cage is set to play Carlo Gambino in a new biopic directed by John Woo, their first collaboration in nearly 3 decades. Early reports suggest the script follows Gambino's rise from a butcher's son in Sicily to the kingpin of an American crime empire, framed through the perspective of a journalist investigating his life after his death. George Gallo, whose claim to fame is the Bad Boys franchise, and Oscar winner Nick Vallelonga, who wrote Green Book, have scripted the project. According to Deadline, the movie will follow Oscar winner Cage's Carlo Gambino, a butcher's son from Sicily, who rules New York's underworld with quiet authority. But when his death sends shockwaves through the city, Pulitzer-winning journalist Jimmy Brelson follows the trail he left behind to uncover the man beneath the legend. Through the voices of those who loved him and those who feared him, Breslin peels back the composure that masked Gambino's ruthlessness, revealing how this outsider rose to redefine power, loyalty, and the American dream. Gambino was one of the most notorious figures in organized crime in America last century. The Sicilian boss was leader and namesake of the Gambino crime family of New York, playing a powerful role in mob matters for more than 50 years until his death in 1976. Carlo Gambino's life contains all the elements of an epic crime saga: the immigrant experience, violent gangland wars, political maneuvering, betrayal, and an unlikely ascent to power. Because Gambino himself was private and controlled, not loud, not flamboyant, his story requires an actor capable of nuance and intensity.
Have you ever been dragged to the sidewalk and be until you pissed blood? I'm gonna try to kill my man! Ah! Open it! 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 Ah! 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 Like an elk? He landed again, he ran. He scored a touchdown!
Yeah, so this project has got a big question mark hanging over it for me. I wouldn't have even believed it if it wasn't the likes of Deadline reporting it. And I still don't think it will ever get made, much like Luca Guadagnino's Michael B. Jordan Scarface remake. I mean, Nicolas Cage as Carlo Gambino? That's the last actor I would expect for the role. I'm half hoping that Deadline are wrong about Cage actually playing Gambino, and maybe it turns out he's actually playing the journalist. It does seem like that will be the film's structure, that this reporter is going around different locations related to Gambino's history and will cut to flashbacks of the man's life. Cage is quite a choice. These days he tends to star in about 4 or 5 films a year which are absolute trash, will lend his talent and name to a decent independent film every couple of years, and might pop in with a small role in a mainstream movie. But he's not the most confusing name attached to this project for me. It's John Woo. For those who don't know, John Woo is a legendary Hong Kong action movie director who popularized the gun fu subgenre, making his name with classic action flicks in the 80s and early 90s like The Killer, A Better Tomorrow, and my personal favorite of his, Hard Boiled. Then he came to Hollywood, and aside from the film Face Off, also starring Cage, and maybe Hard Target, which I remember enjoying, he didn't have much success, and he ended up going back to Hong Kong and making movies there. The last films of his I've seen are the excellent Red Cliff movies, epic ancient war films that are now almost 20 years old. In recent years, he's been making action films for the likes of Netflix and Peacock, including a remake of his own classic film, The Killer. But I've not seen any of these. Frankly, they look uninspired and they've gotten poor reviews. And I think it's safe to put Woo into that category of veteran filmmakers who are unlikely to make a great film again. But that aside, what about Woo or his filmography screams Italian-American crime boss biopic? It's such a bizarre choice. Will Gambino be sliding across tables next to Chow Yun-fat, dual-wielding pistols as a flurry of doves fly behind them in slow motion? Nothing about this project makes sense. What came to my mind was that this was going to essentially be a Gambino biopic in name only, in that they'd use his name but take so many creative licenses with the story that it might as well be practically unrelated to the real figure's life. Hence the casting of Cage and the director being John Woo. But then again, it's co-written by Nick Vallelonga, son of Tony Lip, who played Carmine Sr. in The Sopranos, and Vallelonga wrote Green Book, based on the life of his dad. You would think that he would add an element of authenticity to the script and such, but it doesn't exactly sound like a prestige project, does it? Rather than a serious movie to look out for, truthfully told, it'll probably end up as a goofy Cage film that comes and goes with a whimper. Also, I gotta say, doesn't a movie about Carlo Gambino sound kind of boring? His life just wasn't that exciting. That's what made him a great boss. He was low-key, under the radar. He died of natural causes as a free man. Maybe I'm underselling it. After all, he was a made guy in Italy and was friends with the likes of Lucky Luciano, Vito Genovese and Albert Anastasia, climbing the ranks, becoming a boss and eventually the head of the commission. So there is clearly a story there. But I don't think the way the story is being framed sounds exciting. It reminds me of another recent crime film, Lansky, starring Harvey Keitel, which I reviewed on the channel. It's based on the life of Meyer Lansky, who tells his story to a writer through flashbacks. That movie was a dull dreg. Interestingly, I came across a video from the YouTuber OC Shorts, who does videos on the history of the Mafia, who says he actually worked on the movie as a historical technical advisor after having received a call from George Gallo wanting him on the project. Though he says he provided the filmmakers with documents detailing historical aspects of Gambino's life, he was informed that the vision for the movie would incorporate some of the more well-known myths surrounding Gambino's life to provide a better cinematic experience. Of course, it's worth mentioning that this project has been around for a while. The last time it did the rounds was in around about 2022. In fact, back then, George Gallo was actually attached to direct as well as co-write. So this would easily slip back into development hell, and the likes of Woo and Cage might move on. Hopefully. Back then, George Gallo was quoted as saying, "I've known this story all my life. He was a businessman in a darker universe, a tremendous Machiavellian moneymaker. That's why he got to the top and stayed there for decades." Vallelonga also spoke about the movie, saying, "This is not just a mob movie. We've seen a lot of that. This is Shakespearean. It's on that level. We have to elevate the material, and that's what we're going to go for." So, what do you make of this project? Is this something you're looking forward to? Let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.